If you are a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, you already know how intense this time of year gets. Free agency is approaching, and the list of players potentially walking out the door is long. Some are obvious names, while others are quietly slipping into the background. But every move matters. The 2026 free agent class for Dallas is shaping up to be one of the most pivotal in recent memory. And it is not just about who stays or goes. It is about how the team decides to build the next version of itself. Let's start with the biggest question mark on the roster, George Pickens. He is not just a top Cowboys player, he is one of the most valuable stars in the entire league. And of course, the moment the season ends, the speculation begins. Fans and analysts immediately start asking, what if he leaves? The truth is, if Pickens is not wearing a Cowboys uniform next year, it will be one of the biggest shocks in the NFL. The most realistic scenario is that Dallas uses the franchise tag, and that seems almost inevitable. Whether the team can get a long-term deal done before the draft is another matter entirely. History suggests this will drag out, and we may not see a resolution until the deadline for franchise tag extensions. Still, by training camp, the question will be answered: either he signs a new deal or he plays on the tag. Playing on the tag is not ideal, though it limits flexibility and creates a tense atmosphere around the team's salary cap. Yet, this is a Cowboys trait waiting until the last minute, pushing negotiations to the edge. It is the way the organization has operated for years. So the real debate is not whether they will tag him, but whether they can convince him to commit long-term. The outcome will define the team's direction for years. Will they keep their superstar, or will they be forced to watch him walk? The decision will shape the entire offseason. Moving on from Pickens, the running back situation is another story. Miles Sanders had moments of impact, including that one big run before his injury, but with younger backs like Malik Davis and Jaden Blue emerging, Sanders may not fit into the long-term picture. The numbers might not make sense for him to return, especially when the team can get similar production at a lower cost. It is the harsh reality of the NFL. Performance and price must align. If Dallas decides to let him test the market, it will be a sign that they are ready to shift to a more cost-effective and younger approach at the position. On the other hand, Javonte Williams deserves a lot of credit for how he played this past season. He exceeded expectations in almost every area. Especially as a runner, his pass-catching ability might not be elite, but his overall contribution as a runner was impressive. It was, by far, his best season to date. The running back market is actually loaded this year, and that might work in Dallas' favor. If teams are spending big on running backs, it could push Williams' price down. The Cowboys have already spoken to his agency, but real traction likely won't come until closer to the combine and the official start of free agency. If the price is right, if it stays within reason, bringing Williams back would make a lot of sense. When it comes to leadership and experience, Donovan Wilson is a complicated case. He will definitely be playing somewhere next season, but whether it is in Dallas is uncertain. His usage under the previous coaching staff was questionable. He spent too much time playing deep safety, which is not where he excels. He is at his best closer to the line of scrimmage. In the box, the problem is that he struggles to cover tight ends effectively, and that is a significant weakness in today's NFL. While he brings leadership and presence, the team needs talent and production. Sometimes the tough decisions have to be made, and in this case, it may be time to let him walk. Another player who may not return is Kenneth Murray. His performance was disappointing, and it is hard to justify keeping him when the team needs real improvement in the linebacker room. The trade for him was heavily influenced by the coaching staff, and unfortunately, the results did not match the expectations. He had a few decent moments, but overall, it was not the impact the Cowboys hoped for. The linebacker group needs an overhaul, and Murray's future in Dallas is uncertain. Then there is Jack Sanborn. He is another player who might not be back. While there is a chance a defensive coordinator who has ties to him could bring him back, the general consensus is that the linebacker room needs new talent. If he does not return, it will not be a surprise, and it will likely be accepted as a necessary step toward rebuilding that position. Shifting to the defensive line, Dante Fowler did not have a standout season. It was clear that he did not mesh well with the coaching staff, and his performance reflected that. Still, he could return on a cheap contract, especially if a new defensive coordinator comes in and wants to give him another chance. On the other hand, he could choose to leave, perhaps heading back to a familiar situation where he felt more comfortable. His future is uncertain, and the Cowboys will have to decide if he is worth keeping. Sam Williams is another defensive end who has not delivered the expected production. Despite some support from the coaching staff and front office, his impact has been minimal over the last few years. Outside of his injury season, he has not improved. It is possible that a change of scenery could help him, but as it stands, the production simply has not been there. The defensive staff needs new ideas and new energy, and that may mean moving on from players who have not shown growth. Peyton Turner, a former first-round pick, did not play this season due to injury. He was activated late in the year, but he never returned to the field. It is difficult to justify bringing him back when he has not been able to contribute. The team needs players who can stay healthy and make an impact. Turner's injury history makes his future with the Cowboys uncertain. One bright spot, however, was Jadeveon Clowney. He was one of the few defensive players who stood out this year. His presence was noticeable, and he played at a high level when he was on the field. The issue, as always, is the cost and the timing. Clowney has been known to hold out for the right deal, and his contract demands have been a sticking point in the past. Still, if he is willing to return at a reasonable price, he could be an important part of the defense moving forward. The Cowboys need more talent on the line, and Clowney is one of the most obvious internal options when you look at the wide receiver room. Jalen Tolbert is one of those names that had moments of promise, but ultimately did not become the consistent weapon the Cowboys needed. He showed flashes of ability, but he also got surpassed on the depth chart in a league where every roster spot is precious. The Cowboys may decide to let him walk and find a place where he can compete for a role and actually earn snaps. The Saints, for example, have a history of taking veteran receivers and giving them a chance to prove themselves. Tolbert could be a fit in a system that values his skill set, and the Cowboys might move on, especially if they believe they can find a more reliable option or develop someone younger. Brock Hoffman, on the other hand, is someone I would be happy to see back in Dallas. He has shown he can start in the NFL, even if not at the highest level, and that is value in a league where offensive line play is inconsistent across the board. If Hoffman is given the chance to start elsewhere, he could earn enough money to leave, and that is something the Cowboys will have to prepare for. The reality is that if a team needs a starting center, they will pay for it. Hoffman has proven he can handle the job, and that could make him a target for other teams. The offensive line depth is a critical issue for Dallas, and it is why the decisions around players like Denai are important. Denai did not perform at a high level last season, and his time at tackle was not impressive. He is a veteran, but the Cowboys need more than just experience. They need performance. Bringing in someone new could be the best option. At the same time, the Cowboys may look at guard depth, especially if Hoffman leaves. Rob Jones, who did not play last year due to a neck injury, could be a low-cost option to return. The team liked him, and he provides depth at guard. If the Cowboys lose Hoffman, Jones could step in, and because he is coming off an injury, his contract would likely be reasonable. Cornerback depth is another area that will see changes. Corey Ballentini was briefly on the active roster after being called up from the practice squad, but the cornerback group is expected to look different next season. The quarterback depth chart is also set to change, and that will impact how the defense is built overall. When you consider the age and special teams role of players like C.J. Goodwin, it becomes clear that the Cowboys may finally move on from some veterans. Goodwin has been a leader, but age catches up to everyone, and the team needs younger, faster players in those roles. If he does return, it would likely be on a modest contract, but it may be time to give younger players an opportunity as free agency approaches. It is clear the Cowboys are going to be busy. This is the part of the offseason where the roster is reshaped, and the team must decide who will be part of the next chapter. The way the Cowboys approach free agency will determine how competitive they are next season. Fans will be watching every move, hoping for smart signings and strategic decisions that bring real improvement. The team will need to balance the salary cap, manage contract expectations, and find value where it can. It is not just about keeping star players. It is about building a complete roster that can win games. Now, let's move to restricted free agency, because that is where things get even more interesting. Restricted free agents are players who are not fully unrestricted, but still have some freedom to test the market. The Cowboys have a few of these, and the decisions around tenders can have a major impact. The first-round tender is expensive, and it essentially guarantees that If another team makes an offer, the Cowboys can either match it or receive a first-round pick in return. That is a powerful tool. But it also costs a significant amount of money. The second-round tender is cheaper, but it still comes with a price tag that might not fit every position. The key name here is Brandon Aubrey, the kicker. He has been incredibly reliable, and he is one of the best at his position in the league. The question is how the Cowboys handle his tender. The franchise tag is similar to the right of first refusal, but it is more expensive. A second-round tender is cheaper, and it could be a smart move if the Cowboys are confident that no team will offer a deal they cannot match. The kicker market is always unpredictable, and while Aubrey is elite, it is rare for teams to give up a high draft pick for a kicker. If a team does make a crazy offer, taking a second-round pick could be the best decision, even if it feels uncomfortable. A second-round pick is valuable, and if the Cowboys are confident in their ability to replace him, it might be worth it. At the same time, Aubrey's presence can actually limit the offense because he is so reliable. The team sometimes plays more conservatively, knowing they can rely on him to make field goals. That is a luxury, but it also can prevent the team from being more aggressive. Still, if he is the best kicker in the league, paying him is not a bad decision. The question becomes whether the Cowboys want to commit that kind of money or take the draft pick. If the market gets heated, Malik Davis is another restricted free agent, and the tender decisions around him are also complicated. A second-round tender is expensive for a running back, especially one who is not a primary starter. An extension could be a more sensible solution, with guaranteed money and an extra year or two. That would reduce the cap hit and give both sides stability. It would also allow the Cowboys to keep a player who has shown promise, while still managing the budget. Davis has the potential to be a valuable part of the running back rotation, and the Cowboys may want to keep him. Wayne Thomas is another name to watch. He had a difficult season, dealing with a scary concussion and migraine issues. The health concerns are serious, and the Cowboys will need to evaluate whether he can return to the field safely. He may be worth bringing back on a right of first refusal, but the situation is uncertain. His agent's situation and the Cowboys' relationship with agents could also influence what happens. It will be interesting to see how this plays out, but before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Shockwaves are rippling through the NFL world after Dak Prescott stunned fans and analysts alike by announcing his departure from the Dallas Cowboys during a press conference. That left the room buzzing with speculation. The quarterback, who has been synonymous with the franchise for years, appeared composed yet resolute as he confirmed that his time in Dallas had come to an end, while Prescott stopped short of revealing his next destination. The mere announcement has sparked a whirlwind of rumors and conjecture across the league. Sources close to the quarterback hint that several teams have already expressed interest in acquiring the seasoned playmaker. Though nothing has been finalized, from the West Coast to the East, front offices are reportedly scrambling to evaluate how Prescott could fit into their offensive schemes, with some insiders suggesting that a major trade could be imminent. The timing of his departure has also fueled speculation, with the offseason in full swing. Prescott's availability could reshape quarterback dynamics across the league. Fans and analysts alike are dissecting every word from Prescott's press conference, trying to read between the lines. Some suggest his decision stems from a desire for a fresh start in a system better suited to his strengths, while others speculate that contract negotiations and long-term team strategy may have played a role. Whatever the case, the Cowboys are now facing the challenge of finding a new leader under center, a task that could redefine the trajectory of the franchise. Social media erupted as the news broke, with hashtags and trending topics dominating feeds as fans debate where Prescott could land. Rumors have already linked him to potential playoff contenders, with analysts weighing his skill set against the needs of teams lacking a proven quarterback. Meanwhile, league insiders caution that a lot can change before any official move is made, noting that Prescott's decision opens the door to one of the most intriguing offseason sagas in recent memory. As speculation mounts, one thing is clear: Dak Prescott's departure signals the end of an era in Dallas and the beginning of a high-stakes guessing game for NFL fans everywhere. Where he lands next could redefine the league's quarterback landscape and set the stage for what promises to be an electrifying chapter in professional football. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.